Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Lighthouse Sessions. I'm excited. I believe we are now in a new country. So, Alan is a listener from Manila, right, Alan?
That's right.
Awesome. Well, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we're going to dig in and learn all about your story. And I love the origin story of how entrepreneurs were forged.
Yeah, thank you. It's wonderful to meet you, Jeff, and thank you for the chance to be on the pod. Yeah, basically, I'm Alan. I'm from Manila, and basically, what I do is I help wisdom travel. So I know folks, experts have knowledge, people have problems, but they seldom meet. People who have the solution that you need. So I help folks connect people. So through launches, campaigns, I help experts. I get the knowledge to the right people. I help experts get paid, and people get unstuck. So basically, we try to do that. I call my community the effortless earners because I try to get them top of mind without being loud. So, so I help people with their education business. Right? Typically, I work with one-person businesses. So yeah, I help them establish their sales systems so that their business should support their life and not the other way around.
I love it. And you and I are going to go deeper in that topic because that community is very near and dear to my heart. Full disclosure, I used to think that success meant build a big team and have an empire. And then it's like, oh God, I got to deal with real estate. And, next thing I'm competing with McDonald's for locations.
Right.
And honest to God, that feels like misery to me. And I can't unthink that thought. It's like, if my world requires, because I'm all about my kids, my wife, my family. For me, I'm a knowledge worker and I'm a content creator. I don't want to have a team. I don't need a team. And I think those are the people you work with. Between you and me, I have a weird assortment. Okay. So full disclosure for the show, I sat down with my wife and she was asking me what were my favorite books. And I answered by listing my favorite authors. And she's like, that's not an answer. And I'm like, actually, it is. And then she's like, how many authors do you know personally? And I was listing it and I'm like, I probably know 100 authors and all levels of success personally well enough that if I text them or call them, they'll take my call. And I'm like, that's probably not normal because I don't know anybody else who hangs out with these people. But my addiction is knowledge. It's like, I can't think of anything more interesting. And again, that's why the podcast. But what I do find, and you and I might end up going down this rabbit hole, a lot of these really smart people are struggling because they want to share everything they know about a topic. And somebody's like, I just wanted to ask you the time. Like they're not looking for the lecture. They just want a quick hello.
Exactly. And I find that a lot of people who have plenty of knowledge don't realize that selling and teaching are different in how you communicate the same way like a book, like with authors, right? Like when you buy a book, you don't really read the entire thing, right? You just read the cover, the back cover, and maybe a summary. It's like those few words can convince somebody to buy the book, right? And it's like synthesizing what you know into things that people can understand. That's really tricky, and it's heartbreaking to see like super knowledgeable people like can't get traction because of that small thing.
Yeah. And honestly, that's the key to it is understanding. And I want to hear your thoughts because one of my obsessions is I used to answer the questions I wish they would have asked, whereas the audience wants you to answer the questions they're actually asking.
Right.
And I think that's the curse of knowledge. So I want to hear how many times you run into this. People want to say, no, you need to know these 97 things before you start. Whereas most audiences are looking for what's the first step. Is that fair?
Right.
Do you encounter that?
Yeah. We're both parents, right? It's like for me, I have to meet my daughter where she understands because she has this much knowledge. And me being having so much knowledge, like I couldn't bombard her with knowledge or expect her to know what I'm talking about. So it's up to me to adjust to where they're at. So it's for me to, the way I look at it is I'm fetching her right from where she's at, then I'll bring her to
Yeah.
where she needs to be. So I think that could also be how I would approach somebody. Like I should be the one to adjust because me being the one who has the knowledge, I was at their situation before, and I needed somebody to show me the ropes and speak my language because that's how it's gonna be fair for me. It's something where I'm gonna be comfortable. Like we're thousands of miles away, we both can speak the same language. But if I couldn't speak your language, right, and somebody approaches me who speaks mine, then I'll gravitate towards that person. And how we discuss our topics, even if we speak English. But if they couldn't understand the jargons that we're using, it's as if you're speaking a different language anyway. Right? So
Yeah.
I think that's something that it's like, it's not dumbing it down, but it's empathy, really. It's empathy in practice. Like, I want it to be easy for you to understand. So sometimes having understanding that gap, because for us, I'm talking about this thing, but you're using level 10 words, like $10
Yeah.
words, but they need
Yeah.
$1 words, right? So it's up to us to understand what are those words and just mirror it back to them. I think
Yeah.
if we look ourselves as a mirror, right, we're just reflecting what they're going through. That's where they could resonate.
I love that. And I think, so I'm going to share some insights I've had lately about, I call it the curse of knowledge, because
Mhm.
when, I've been reading books since I was 5, 6, and, when cold winters, you had nowhere to go, couldn't leave the house, encyclopedia. So my version of regular, normal vocabulary, and you'll love this because I said to one of my connections accidentally, I wasn't being mean on purpose. I said, my 13-year-old son understands this. Why don't you? And he
Mm.
laughed at me and he said, do you have any idea how stupid that statement is? And I'm like, why? And he said, because you raised your son. He thinks that the way you talk is normal. And I went,
Mhm.
oh, but I
Right.
needed that mirror. And
Mm.
it's funny because with your daughter, she's the perfect age. When somebody is coming to you as an expert and they're stressed out and they're feeling panicky, they need things to be broken down to that simple. I used to say dumb it down. Now I realize it's simplified.
Right.
Um, but most of what I write now, when I'm feeling that it's really hard and complicated, I reduce it to a age 5 level.
Mhm.
How would I explain this to a 5-year-old? When I'm feeling that they should really understand this stuff, I double that and I speak to them as if they were 10.
Mhm.
And the fascinating thing, and I'm going to come back to your language point. A lot of people say, well, I told you that. And it's like, well, I heard your words, but I didn't understand them because, as you said, you're speaking your technical language and you live and breathe this thing all day long. I don't know what you just said. And
Mhm.
the other part I think most smart people miss is nobody wants to raise their hand and say, I'm sorry, you just made me feel dumb. I don't
Mhm.
understand what you said. Could you dumb it down? At that point, you've lost them.
Right. Exactly. And yeah, I think that with communication, a lot of it's about making the other person feel safe. And by introducing these big words, without saying it, without them saying it, they feel like there's a gap between you. And the more you
Yeah.
use these words, it's like the more you're pushing them away. So using metaphors, analogies, stories, those are, I believe, those are some of the best bridges. And it
Yeah.
goes both ways as well. Like I have parents who are over 60, my dad is over 70. So when there are new things that we're doing, so even me, like internet marketing, we came from a background of wholesale business, fishing supplies, right? So that's the world that he was in. So when I was started doing this online thing, he couldn't fathom what I was doing because for him the concept of business is you buy something at cost, sell it for a profit. That's it. For
Yeah.
you typing words on a screen and make money from it, that's a foreign concept. So for me, even explaining to them, I have to simplify it, right? And and I feel that it also works for relationships, right? Any I feel like this concept made me a better person because it made me more empathetic to where the other person is coming from,
Yeah.
and be more conscious of context, not just the thing that you're talking about.
I love that, and I love stories and analogies, and I see one really beautiful in your background. Your father sold fishing supplies. I'm sure there was bait in there somewhere, correct?
Right, right. There is.
So the modern day thought leader or smart person, and yes, Jeff was one of these, would stand up on stage and lecture the fish on why this bait is better than that. Meanwhile, some fisherman's going, "Oh, I'm going to throw this bait in because I want to catch this fish." Magically, you throw the bait in the water, you catch the fish you were fishing for.
Hmm.
Whereas if you sit and lecture the fish about what they should want, because, oh my God, that's high in fat, that's low in whatever, the fish don't care what you think about or want them to know. Their little brain is saying, "I'm hungry, give me food." And
Hmm.
as a leader, we need to recognize that our audience is literally in a state of starvation. They
Right,
just need the food, not, here's how I prepare it and here's the dishes. And nobody cares about how the sausage is made. They just want to eat the
right,
meal.
right, right. Exactly. I remember watching one of your episodes, talking about people don't really care about the features, right? And I remember this during one of our calls, like a client was asking about, he was teaching music, drums in particular, and he was talking about, hey, I think like reading notes. I forgot specifically what he was teaching, but it's about, I guess, reading notes, and it was highly technical. He feels people need to understand it, doesn't know how to communicate. So I was asking him, hey, what can people do once they learn that? And he was having a hard time. I was throwing him some ideas. How about this? When they hear a song for the first time, if they learn what you teach, can they play it back after hearing a song one time? Yes, they can. That's the transformation. That's
There
what
you
you can
go.
tell them, right? So, and it's because they have so much knowledge. And for me, ironically, me having no musical knowledge kind of gave me the advantage because I need to simplify it for me so my brain can understand. So, and yeah, that's the beauty of it, because once it hits, like you can see their eyes light up, or like, I get it. Once you find that, oh, you know what to say.
Well, and one of the things I'm fascinated by is the journey. I'm obsessed with mastery and how people go from
Hmm.
beginner to master. Spoiler alert, not many people care about that journey as much as I do. So when I get up and start talking about mastery, people and tune out. But the reality is they have a reason why they're there,
Hmm.
and I love martial arts as an example. If you get to black belt, not only do you know how to do everything the right way, you also know how to do it backwards so that you can demonstrate it to the beginners in front
Hmm.
of you. So you really learn to master it when you can do it literally forward and back. But a lot of people forget that beginner's mind. So let's talk about your clients and their experiences. Um, I think what you're bringing and what I'm hearing is you bring the beginner's mind and you question them and say, what's the transformation? By the way, that is my absolute all time favorite word, because if you're not transforming people, they don't care.
Right, right. Like, people don't buy things to stay the same.
Yeah.
Um, there's a result that they want, right? And it's kind of connecting the two. Because of what I noticed, like with folks who have so much knowledge, it's like they tend to overshare how you're going to do it. Which is like, when I look at it, it's verb, 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 right? But transformation is from one state to another. Typically, they're a
Yeah.
noun, right? They achieve a noun. So I try, like, with words, when that's kind of my kind of a red flag. If it's all verbs, because you're making people work. It sounds like I'm gonna work so much, but you're
Yeah.
not telling me what I'm working for. So show them what they're working for. Like, for example, with workouts, right? The popular thing is before and after photos, right? But they don't really tell you like how many push-ups you're gonna do, how much calories you're gonna cut, right? But
Yeah.
hey, if I see if it's worth it, and you can tell me how to get there, I'm gonna push through all these things. But you're not selling the verb, you're selling like the new thing, like the transformation. So
I'm laughing because literally basic copywriting is verb, 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 so that verb, verb, verb. And it's like, nobody cares about your verbs. Keep your verbs. And,
right.
I'm obsessed because the word I use now is with transformation, people are buying the identity of who do I get to become because of you. And when I say things like that, people look at me and go, that's stupid. And I'm like, really? When was the last time you bought something because verb, 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 so that verb, verb, verb? And they're like, oh, I do it all the time. No, you don't. I promise you don't. You think you do,
Right.
but we buy on emotion and then justify rationally. And I think that's the greatest mistake of mankind, is assuming that we have evolved and we're all logical, rational beings. We're still just a couple of steps backwards in time to that primordial ooze. And, we are closer to the cave people who painted on walls with their fingers than we are to the thing we think we are.
Right. Right. I mean, I to your point about emotion, like during the pandemic, right? Everything's closed, and slowly, like, hey, it's getting longer, it's getting longer. Then you start to want that. I have that itch, like, okay, I need to get a haircut now. Then, then you start. There's no barber shops open, so I
Yeah.
would buy a pair of clippers, like the electric ones, and I would look at my wife. then, then of course, like I bought it. I know we had zero skills of using it, right? But I want the transformation, right? So I was buying hope at that time. It was an emotional purchase. So it took us like a few times, a few times. It was serviceable. I love my wife for it, but it's not logical. Like there's zero training. There's a huge
Yeah.
chance of disaster. But dude, like I'm starting to become a caveman. So so I had to swing big.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing, because once you know everything about a subject, your instinct, and by the way, I do this a lot, so this is me lecturing myself. The temptation is, here's 1,000 things you need to know. I know all of these things, aren't I smart? Um, I've been doing something really fun lately. I watch my audience, and I can see the minute that their logical brain shut down and their
Mhm.
arms metaphorically crossed. Literally, you can see it on their face. They've checked out.
Right.
And
Right.
that's a good time to pause. And so I do weird things, like I'll say, yeah, listen to me droning on. Let me give you a story. It's like this. And then I
Mhm.
compare it to something. And spoiler alert, when you are more engaging and tell better stories, people remember what you said.
Right. Right.
And again, when you came on before we hit record, you and I were talking about a couple of the episodes you watched, and the one that stood out was Mike, who is a storyteller.
100%. You know
So
what? Like,
what?
yeah, I'm sorry.
Go,
Go-
no, go
Yeah,
ahead. Sorry.
you were saying something about the webinar, right? And sometimes people check out. One of the best lessons I got was, I was doing this webinar one time, and great reviews, but conversions were tanking. So I couldn't connect the two. Then I had entrepreneur friends watch it, and they were saying that you did great with the webinar in terms of demonstrating your knowledge, but here's the thing that I did wrong. So when they were watching the webinar, they felt like, hey, Alan is so good. When in fact, what they should be feeling is, hey, I can do that too.
Ooh,
So right, so that was a major shift for me, right? It was
yep.
I was demonstrating how good I was, but not really showing them how they can do it. So
Yep.
like that was a major shift for me, and I felt like without anything tactical, I didn't learn anything tactical from my friends, but that major shift made me focus on that empathy with the audience.
Yep.
Like how can they feel empowered during the webinars, and not shine the light on me, but shine the light on the system, that a system that they can do themselves.
I love how you phrase that. And I'm going to go one step further. The better I feel after a webinar, the worse I did. I know that
Oh.
for a fact because if I feel good, it was because I felt smart for teaching.
Mm.
But if I feel drained and I see my audience leaving lit up, then I've reached them. And, it's funny. I don't know if you've ever read Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson, but it's one of my go-to books. And that was the hardest part for me was an expert, because he really annoyed me because he kept saying the more you teach the less you sell, and I'm like, it's not about selling, it's about teaching. And then I'm like, oh crap, he's right. So
Right.
let's talk about you. How did you get into this field? Because honestly, people who understand that it's not about me, it's about the audience, it seems like we could put them all in the back of a car and it would still be room for us with elbow room. How did you come to this venture where you're more than a solopreneur now? I think you've got a team, but how did you start down this path? How did you get from the fishing supply store to online working with a keyboard?
Yeah, it's a great question. It started actually when I was around 25. So I was in my quarter life crisis. so I actually had a restaurant, a franchise restaurant that time, while working in corporate. So the restaurant was a partnership with myself and my college friends. And I got a little burnout. We read Rich Dad Poor Dad before we graduated, so we kind of want to dive into business early, and franchising felt like an easy way to do it since there's
Yeah.
systems. It wasn't easy, and dealing with manpower is difficult. So one thing led to another. I got burned out with corporate. Personal life was a little down in the dumps, and burned out with the restaurant. And I applied for a scholarship for a change of scenery. I First time in my life I got accepted in a scholarship, and it was to fly to China for a scholarship program. That was kind of a break I needed and reflected on what I wanted to do. And upon returning, that's when I helped out with the family business with fishing supplies. But it was for my journey. It was I'm not a type A personality where I have this goal and like by hook by crook I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
It was through my mistakes that the path cleared out for me. I saw like, hey, I wasn't cut out for employment. I wasn't cut out for entrepreneurship with franchising. I'm an educated bum at this point. Um, so that's when I started exploring, because in our fishing supply business, it's not an office, like it's a mom and pop store. It's very gritty. So I
Yeah.
was thinking, and my personality isn't really a good fit. I finished accountancy, so I'm really good with working by myself, not really talking to anyone. So I was thinking, what can I do that where I could make money with it? Then typing the magical. This is around 2010s. Typing the magical words, how to make money online. Got into Odesk. Um, During that time, I thought anything online was just a scam.
Yeah.
Then when that deposit hit my bank account, okay, this is real. Did that for a bit. Then since I started working with the family business, I was there full time. Then that's when I discovered affiliate marketing, email marketing. Did that on the side for around 6 to 7 years because I was getting married at that time, so I couldn't just jump right away. So I
Yeah.
was earning pretty good money around then, around $1,000 to $2,000 on the side. So it was around 2017 when it's a family business and we have a Chinese ancestry. And I'm the eldest son, is supposed to take over the business. So there's that pressure as well. So it
No
was,
pressure. Nope. Nope.
yeah, pressure. Our ancestors wouldn't mind. Um,
Yeah.
so it was only like around that time when kind of my dad kind of gave me the green light to pursue this, right? And so that's when I started teaching email marketing, and it was really last year 2024 when I started. That's when kind of I realized that I've been selling digital products for more than a decade now through
Yeah.
affiliate, through my own programs. And it was last year when my father-in-law and my grandma, it was around late 2023, they passed. Kind of wanted to do something that I really enjoy. So I shifted to helping fellow solopreneurs because I like education. I've been supporting a scholarship since 2013 for education's World Vision. So education is big for me. And coming from the Philippines, where it's a third world country, like knowledge is kind of our ticket for a better life.
Yep.
So that was deeply important for me. So that's kind of how I found my way to this digital world. Even among my college friends, like they thought they would see me speak on stage or virtual summits, right? And they would
Yeah.
wonder, like, I'm the last person in our group who they imagine who would speak on stage. Because like I'm really the one who's in the group conversation, always the one who would just sneak in a word or two from time to time. So it's funny, like I couldn't have planned any of this, but here I am speaking with you right now.
I love it, and it's funny because I am a diehard introvert. If you ask me, would I rather have a book or a human to spend an afternoon with? Always the book. I'm sorry to people, but give me the book. But put me on a stage. I like it because I'm here and everybody else is there. Now,
Right.
when I go out, I would rather, and this scares people because I know extroverts that would not do this, but I would rather be on the stage than in the audience in those little chairs where you're too close to too many people. And it's like,
I totally
I got lots
understand.
of room on stage and, I
Right.
can pace and I can fidget and nobody's telling me to sit still.
Right.
I want to pull something out that you said something about wandering around like a bum. And I love that phrase because that is literally how entrepreneurs are forged. We're not,
Mm.
it's not like we go to school. I used to joke, I'm a recovering accountant, and I used to joke that most people are raised by families, but accountants, we were made in a factory because we were all issued the same sort of criteria. It's a joke. Nobody hate me for that. But the reality is, I used to take weird projects because I was bored with whatever and I wanted to explore something. And in my 30s, my resume was a gong show. Like it was just, I don't think I held a job ever for more than 3 years because I got bored or I get frustrated. But what I do find is entrepreneurs, we zig and zag and we end up at where we're supposed to be. But I can't imagine anything in my life that I wish I hadn't done because I don't know what that would take away from who I've become. And I
Mhm.
think that's sometimes we need to be comfortable feeling like that bum. And I'll be honest with you, a friend of mine, he's an entrepreneur. His mom prefers to tell people that he's unemployed. I'm
Mm.
kidding, because being an entrepreneur is shameful in their family.
Oh.
But, and she jokes that her other kids work for a living, but her son doesn't. And it's like, okay, it's not funny anymore, mom. But so let's talk about how people find you and what kind of things are you doing? Because in my experience, I'm going to speak from people I've met, the solopreneurs. They've tried everything, they've bought every program, and unfortunately, they beat themselves up and they carry that shame. And, when coaches go, oh, well, you didn't get the results, it's your fault. I hate that mentality
Mhm.
because you're not just crushing their business, you're crushing their dream, their hopes. So how do you meet the little boy or girl standing in front of you saying, I'm smart, I promise, but nobody's paying me. Help. How does somebody come to you and get that help that they need?
Yeah. I'm big, like when people starting out. Here's what I realized coming from email marketing. Um, I would Before I would help them start it with their list, right? Their list, send emails, so to build an audience and sell to them. But I realized that when I help people build a list, unless they have something to sell, like they don't stick with it because they have to pay active campaign, a monthly fee, and they have nothing to show for it, right? And people, there's that fear of, hey, I have to build my value first before I start selling, right? But at the same time, realistically, people come here, start this to make money, right?
Yeah.
And making money, sometimes it can be seen as a negative thing, as a selfish thing. In your relationship with money has to be. enlightened, to be reframed. So I want to be with my community. We are really money positive. Um, and what I noticed, like for people to stick, you have to get that win. For me personally, I could still remember it's January 2013. My first ever sale was an $8 commission from an ebook that I sold, and that was the trigger for me. I don't think if I didn't have that, I'm not sure if I'm gonna stick to it until 2025. So typically,
Yeah.
I help them out with a pre-sale. Hey, if you have an idea, I keep it simple. Just the same way that you're using Google for your podcast, we use Google as well for their pre-sale. Just a Google Doc,
Yeah.
a Google form. Hey, if you have something that you can help people with, just a small thing. You don't have to teach everything you know. If you know 100 things, teach one. Teach number
Yeah.
one. Message people, ask them, hey, here's what I'm doing. Would you know? This is a promise of this, the transformation that you can get. This is what has helped me. Would you know anyone who'd be interested? And just send to like 100 friends, just not selling to them, but selling through them. And
Yeah.
just see if 3 people buy from you, then it's a valid offer. Then you build from that. It creates like instant win, no cash out involved. Then
Yeah.
you get data, whether people buy or not. And for me, like people who go through that, that would take them 7 days. You've gone through more entrepreneurship than people who would just set up systems, set up blogs, build so many assets, but never
Yeah.
sell. So
A lot of
that's
people, I call it procrastination. You're really busy building systems, or I'm
right.
going to launch. Between you and me, I have a friend who's been writing a book for 5 years now, and I'm like, I'm starting to lose faith in that book. But
Right.
sometimes you
Right.
just got to launch and get it out there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's really for us, like we have the mentality of like just chop wood, carry water. Chop wood, carry water. In the sense that hey, if you have a big win, you wake up tomorrow, chop wood, carry water. If your launch underperformed, hey, you get up tomorrow, chop wood, carry water. I'm a
Yeah.
believer in like the minimum viable day. Like just do this stuff, this 4 to 5 stuff every day. It will move your business inch by inch, not leaps and bounds, but it will keep moving. Then
Yeah.
with your free time, if you want to move, work more. If not, like enjoy Netflix, enjoy time with your kids. Right. So and we never blame. Like a few hours ago, I had like a year-end Thanksgiving with my small team. It's my sister and my copywriter. And one feedback that they gave me both is like they love that our working together. There's no drama. If somebody messed up, no blaming. Okay, that what do we do next? What do we do next? And I was surprised because it was just natural for me, but for them it was a big deal because in other communities, like there's some drama, finger pointing, and I think
Yeah.
that's also
It's
how I
literally
came.
the corporate way, right?
Right, right, right. It's like your KPIs and like who should sync, but and that's also what the mentality I carry with my clients, right? So if we mess up, no blaming. Well, just keep moving forward, keep moving forward. Just chop wood, carry water, because we have so much energy in the world, and it's why look back when, of course, it's good to look back to learn from it, but not put too much energy into it that it's pulling us from moving forward. So for us, it's money positivity, bias towards action, zero blaming. So yeah, that's how we build our environment, and that's why for me, like when I coined the term effortless earners for my community, I thought I was thinking of that for identity, for marketing. But you know what? That became my North Star as well. It surprised me. Like whatever strategy or decisions, when I'm thinking of next things to experiment to teach my clients, I'm thinking of it from a perspective of how do I make it as effortless as possible for them. And it surprised me as well. So I think that's the kind of culture that we bring for our clients. And it's not for everyone because if it's super type A, super big business, that's not for us. But if it's for to make a living comfortably, teaching what you know and seeing
Yeah.
transformations, yeah, that's the vibe that we're going for.
I love that. And, I think your chop wood to fetch water sort of is going to be the mantra coming out of this, because I know a lot of really smart people who get so wrapped up in,
Mm,
the latest and greatest axe. And it's like, okay, I'm going to go sharpen my axe. And then, oh, no, I need to get my bucket. And, then there's a hole in the bucket. You got to patch it. It's like,
right,
again, you got to start.
right, right.
Sorry,
Yeah,
fetch
and
wood, carry water. Yeah. It's,
yeah, and I think that I got that as well from my parents, my grandparents, because we would open 6 days a week, e- even holidays, because there's that coming from immigrant families. Like we're in third generation here, they didn't
yeah.
have opportunities as professionals. Like they couldn't get educated, they couldn't get licenses. So it's really you just have to sell things. And there's that fear that if we close one day and that customer comes and we're closed, it's gonna go to somebody else. They're gonna stay there
Yeah.
forever. So there's also that fear that hey, you just have to move forward. That's why when somebody's sick, it's never complete family visiting somebody sick. Somebody has to stay in the store.
Yeah.
If it's a wedding, somebody's gonna miss it. But
Yeah.
you have to shop would carry water. So you're carrying it over to online.
Yeah. And honestly, I think most people miss the fundamentals. Chop wood, carry water. Like, it should be that simple. And I know earlier I said nobody cares about your verbs, but your business needs those verbs. It's just your
Right,
clients don't care about those verbs.
right, right, right.
You know?
And I totally agree. And yeah, I mean, even this time it's 2 a.m. locally, but hey, it's a commitment, like would carry water. And of course, this, Jeff, like business is a numbers game, right?
Yeah.
It's also connections, it's also you have to make several attempts, right? So and so it's sometimes I would say it's not always the case, but a lot of the cases it's economics over emotions. So
Yeah.
sometimes your emotions, if you just put more into economics, it will solve your emotional problems. Right? So so yeah, it's just keep moving forward.
I love that. And I think that's a lot of people want to stop and feel sorry for themselves. And it's, it's fascinating how much work people will go to avoid doing the things that actually matter. And so
Exactly.
let's talk about how people can connect with you, and how do they work with you doing what you do? How do they join your community, for example?
Sure. We can connect on LinkedIn. So I'm also there. So Allan Ngo, NGO. So I know it's sometimes tough to read. Think of gnocchi. So it's pretty much the first syllable. I also prepared a special gift for your community, Jeff. So I compiled like some of our um, best emails. So emails that got people to raise their hand about a product. So we got 7 of them. We call them buyer signals. So they
Oh,
can grab it
nice.
for free. Yeah, it's digitalsolopreneur.com/lighthouse if you want to
Oh,
grab that.
nice.
So that's for your community.
Awesome. Well, it's great because I was actually going to ask for a link, and now we have it. So, Alan, I love having you on. You were great. You will be back if you want to come, I promise. One last question, then I'll let you go to sleep, I assume. What advice do you wish young Alan had had, or what advice would you give your daughter going out into the world forward? What do you wish you'd knew about life and business that you now know and take for granted?
I love that. I love that question. For me, I would tell my younger self. So when I was doing online as a side hustle, I would tell him not to call it a side hustle because I was going to do it. My goal for it is to turn it into my full-time income. But by calling it a side hustle, I was subconsciously limiting myself. Right?
Yeah.
Like whenever I was late for a deadline, I had an excuse. Hey, I had full-time work. Whenever I did it 3 weeks late, hey, you did it. Amazing. Even if it's just a side hustle. So I'm biased. I can't fail. And that's not the way it should be. For me, I should have
Yeah.
thought of myself as a full-time employee and also a full-time entrepreneur. Because if you're full-time, you find ways to make it work. So it's not based
Exactly.
on, yeah, it's not based on time. Like sometimes there are days like my daughter has a full day at school, I won't see her for a day. Doesn't make me a part-time dad. I'm a full-time
Yeah.
dad because it's my mindset, right? It's not time, it's not an external factor. That's
Yeah.
something that I wish I did before. I would have gotten more results faster. But yeah, that's something I share with my daughter now.
I love it because generally we frown on having a side family. So, it makes sense.
That's
You
right.
put your energy where you focus, right? So,
That's right. That's right.
sorry if
There's
anybody has a side family, no judgment, just
that. Right.
okay, a
Right.
little judgment.
So yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
Thank
Well,
you for that question.
I loved having you, and I really, really appreciate it. So thank you for being on the show, and I can't wait to hear what's changing in your world. We'll have you back in a couple months, and you can share what you've been up to. But thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, and I would love that opportunity. I enjoyed speaking with you, Jeff.